Hi guys, welcome back to my 𝓕𝓸𝓻 and today, as you can read the title, today is going to be Testimony Tuesday. I am going to be talking about my testimony of my friendships and my relationships, past obviously. So today I want to talk about the differences between worldly and God-centered relationships and friendships. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so I would like to talk about my testimony first, and then my past relationships. It's everything in that relationship or relationships went contrary to God, and it takes a lot of spiritual maturity to acknowledge that. But I got into this relationship in 2019. I can't remember when. It was somewhere in 2019 or the early in 2019. And it was good at first because a lot of people go through this honeymoon stage in friendships and relationships, right? So of course it was going smooth at first, but later down in the relationship is when it started going downhill, right? And the reason why it started going downhill was because, of course, we developed an intimate relationship. We reached an intimate level, and of course, intimacy is not a bad thing, but is which type of intimacy. And the intimacy we reached on the intimacy, and the type of intimacy that we was in, it went contrary to God, obviously. So that was that, and then God, he was really provoking me to leave that relationship, because there was a lot of times where that person and I would break up numerous times and get back together the same day. It was very toxic, and that's how worldly relationships and friendships are these days. It's very toxic. But there was a lot of red flags in the relationship as to that other person being petty. And I'm not going to just talk about what the other person did, but I also did as well, because remember, I was just living in sin and I did not care. But at the same time, I was living in death. You can say I was living in death. So I didn't know right from wrong, because I was just so into what the world had to offer. And obviously, it reached a point where it was very tiring. It was draining my energy. It was draining my mental health, my emotional health. Like, spiritually, there was a soul tie, but there is good and bad soul ties. And of course, it was a bad soul tie because of how we connected with each other. It wasn't through Christ, it was through sin. And that is where the red flag was. Just giving myself to him, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Of course, in a bad way, obviously, that would affect me. And him as well, it would have affected him, because it wasn't just him, it was me as well. And that is the thing, when you give yourself to someone sexually, you are connecting with that person spiritually, and that leads to a bad soul tie. I know when you all are connected, you can't seem to leave each other, or you're always going back to that person, and eventually it reached a point where I was giving him my all, even in the midst of him losing love for me. And of course, he was kind of losing that love for me, and I was just there. But when it came to sexually, that is where things would, you know, like, that was one of the reasons why we couldn't let each other go, was because we had that soul tie sexually and we couldn't detach ourselves. And I had to do it because God was calling me, and he was calling me. That was a different type of call. It wasn't just a call, come and help me do this. It was a detach yourself and you go your way. And I wanted him to come the way I was going, but God was telling me that can't happen. That can't happen, because you need to break the soul tie. So it was like, everyone have different experiences. God is using people in different ways, and it wouldn't always go the way you want it to, you know, because God knows what is best for you. And if he knows what is best for you, then you should obey him. You should walk in that obedience. You should walk in that light, you know. I was walking in darkness with him, and he was doing the same as well, and we both believed in God. Believing in God and actually walking in his light is two different things. So it was just darkness in that entire relationship because of what we did with each other, you know. And it came to a point where I realized that, okay, something is happening, you know, something is happening. Like, I'm giving you my all and you barely communicating, you barely talking to me, you're not calling me at all, and I had to call you, and I don't mind. But the thing was that I was so in love with that person. I wasn't in love, I was attached to the person. I was really attached, and I couldn't get myself off. I was like a leech, and the only thing that detached me was God. The only person that detached me was God. Like, nobody else could have detached me from the relationship but God. And that's all him. God really provoked me to fast from him, to fast from whatever my idol was. My idol was my phone. And I was praying, and this was in January. I was fasting. God provoked me to fast, you know. So when the fast finished, I didn't even know that was a fast until I reflected. And when the fast had finished, I was like, okay, I've made my choice, because I really wanted to get into this relationship with God because it was getting serious. And I had to come to a conclusion where, you know what, I need to let you go, right? Because before that happened in December is when I started getting mixed emotions about leaving the relationship, right? God was just preparing me, but I was delaying it because I was attached to the person. And and I was getting mixed emotions, and of course just looking at it from his perspective, I would have got upset with me as well, because one day I would tell him, you know what, I don't want to be in this relationship no more, you know, I want to become pure for God, I want to become a nun, all of this stuff. And then the next day it's like, I want to stay with you, I love you so much, all of this stuff. And that is just like, no, they need to have belly to leave this relationship. And I came to the conclusion where I need to let you go. God really provoked me to do that. The same night I left is when I was so joyful. You know, of course I love them one of these days, but the the grief didn't hit me yet now. So it was like, I'm so happy. Both of us was actually happy that we came out of the relationship. We agreed to breaking up, and it was easy for him, probably, but for me it was hard because I gave him my all. You know, I was attached to him, and that's what I was so bad, and I didn't even know until now. And a few weeks later is when that finally hit me. You know, some days later I started crying, and God sent someone in my life to actually help me on my journey, you know. And through that, the person actually knew that I was going through it. The person knew I was going through it. But at the same time, it took me a few weeks, probably 2 months, to detach myself, because of course I wasn't talking to him, all of this stuff. I still was in contact with him, I told him that before you go to sleep, I would try my best to remind you to pray every night, all of these stuff, and that wasn't my job to do. That wasn't my job. I can't try to be his God. I can't try to be God for him. I was trying to do God's work. That wasn't my job at all. And after came to a point where I need to detach myself from him, like in general, for me to hop onto that train and go full in for Christ. And I had to block him, all this stuff. I had to stop talking to him. There was a day I was sitting down and I was like, let me try to cry and see if I still have feelings for him. I tried, no tears, nothing. I was like this one I broke, this one I actually broke, because after that, some weeks passed where I didn't even care about crying. It was kind of surprising, just really spend meditating and the word of God, it broke that soul tie. Giving God my time instead of giving unnecessary people my time, it changed a lot of things. In Psalms chapter 1 verse 2 it says, but the day delights in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. And when I actually stopped talking to that person is when I went in full force and I started reading my word day and night throughout the day, all this stuff. When I got serious with my TikTok and all this stuff, and I was just growing so much, and even removing people from my life, not just that person, but removing people in general from my life who was actually against me. It really did take me out of that place that I was in, and just God just putting people in my life for the greater good on my journey, to help me on my journey. It helps so much. The friends I have now just really helped me on my journey. They helped me grow, to be who I am today. And the difference with worldly and God-centered relationships is one where there is no sexual relations. Well, pertaining to regardless of the God-centered relationship, when you're trying to refrain from lusting after each other, right? And that you need to do that. That is a must. Because doing that will separate the both of you from God. Because sometimes, even when you're just sitting there, you're talking over the phone, or you're just sitting there, you would randomly start lusting over this person in your mind. And when you start going into that phase, that is when you need to start going in full time and prayer, fasting, all this stuff, to refrain yourself from giving the enemy that authority over you. Well, the worldly relationship, that's just death, like spiritual death right there. You just giving somebody your all, your soul, attaching that person to you. That don't make no sense. And then when you all break up or something, you really give this person your all when you're supposed to be pure, when you're supposed to be taking care of your temple, because you are the holy temple of God. You are God's holy temple. My testimony about my worldly friendships, that was really toxic, and had a lot of gossip, had a lot of hatred, had a lot of jealousy and judgment in their hearts, even in minds, and let me tell you all this. See, when you are surrounded by people who not walking with Christ, the word of God says that bad company corrupts good character. And I've experienced that, to let you all know that is so true. Because I could, even when I started sharing the gospel, I was still friends with people who was living in sin, like deep sin. They believed in God, but they was living in deep sin. And I used to catch myself participating in things that they are doing. doing things that they are doing, and they were corrupting my spirit. They were corrupting the thing that God has placed in me, and I was letting them do that. And I posted a video which led to us just breaking up that entire friendship. I posted a video, they got offended, and that was my fault, but at the same time it was the truth. They got offended, and you know, I apologize that I put it that way, because of course that was my fault. I shouldn't have put it that way, but like I said, it was still the truth. And they made a whole group out of me and just to talk about that. They moved me from that group, and we were always in one group. And you know, I was just crying because I grew a strong bond with them. I grew a strong bond with the group, and I was crying and praying. I was like, God, please have mercy upon my friends. But if this is your doing, just let me go. Let me go. But if this is not for me, let me go. You know, because for me to grow in you, for me to grow in your love and your goodness, I can't be participating in things that they are participating in. And I had to leave the group. I left the group. After that, I didn't block them or anything, but I was posting, you know. But it had a particular day I posted something, and they replied to it, and all of this stuff, and that created, I replied out of love and out of gentleness, and they were being arrogant, and I was like, are these my friends? You know, like, okay, I'm gonna block them. I didn't reply, I just blocked them to refrain myself from participating in that, because the Lord said, because the word of God says to flee from ignoring conversations and people. And so I did, and I blocked them, all of this stuff. I just left them there because, one, I don't want to be in a place where people or things are corrupting what the seed God has placed in me. Then I would just be hindering God's purpose, you know, God's calling for me. I'd be hindering that. And so I just did what I had to do. I did what the Lord wants me to do. I tried my best to help them, stuff like that. And that wasn't my job. I did spread the word to them, but at the same time, I needed to leave because I couldn't push it. I really couldn't push it. Then I'd be forcing them to believe in something they don't want to believe in. And so I did what I had to do, and that was it. And just to see them switch up like that, I was like, these people really show me their true colors. You know, I was planning to do so much things with them, and it was just like that. All of that just go on. But the thing is that worldly friendships, it brings all the waste in you. Like I'm even observing that from one of my family members. But God-centered friendships are the best. You all are really growing together spiritually. You all are uplifting each other. You all are really connecting together on a spiritual level. You all are bonding together. It's wonderful to see that, you know, God is calling us to be set apart from this world, even though we are living in it. This is preparation for heaven, you know. This is the preparation for what is about to come. And we want to get many people on this path, because many people are just living in death. They are jeopardizing their soul, and not many people is aware. So my encouragement to you today is to reflect on who you surround yourself by. Reflect on your environment, what is hindering you from God's purpose for you, God's plans for you. Because it is important to know your drifts and to really start removing things from your life that is not good for you, that is really affecting your spiritual life, because your spiritual life is the most important thing right now, because there's so many things that we do that affects our spirit that we are not aware of, so many spirits that is attached to us that we are not aware of. And so that's my encouragement to you guys, and I pray that this testimony really encourages you guys today, and thank you guys for watching, and hashtag be encouraged. Bye guys.